I'm gonna wreck it! I'm gonna wreck it! I'm Lights Camera Jackson. Welcome to a new episode of LCJ Live. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. A certain animated character from Disney had an awesome Thanksgiving. We'll get to that. The box office for Ralph Breaks the Internet. Plus, Creed 2. You could use these as boxing gloves, too. Creed 2 dominating the box office as well. A big 1-2 punch for the weekend. A couple other movies, however, did not do so well. We'll get to all of that. Plus, I made an appearance on a Loud House podcast. I'll talk about that. I was in New York City yesterday. Saw two big movies, including one about a flying nanny. I'll do a little reaction to that. I'll explain why I can't really talk a whole lot about Mary Poppins Returns quite yet. And I'm doing a podcast interview with one of the producers of the new Spider-Man movie tomorrow, so I'll give you some insight on that. As always, I have to use this for the laptop here for a couple moments. Send in your questions, your comments, and I'll read them right here on LCJ Live. We'll talk about it all. Let me just get the page up with that hand, and then we'll give you back to the two hands right here for Wreck-It Ralph. I did get these 6 years ago from Disney for the first Wreck-It Ralph movie, so thank you to Disney for allowing me to use these. Again, send in your questions, your comments, everything you need. We got to talk about Ralph Breaks the Internet. $84.5 million 5-day open for Thanksgiving. I believe that's number 2 right behind Frozen for the biggest Thanksgiving weekend 5-day open of all time. They were talking about maybe Ralph could get to 90, but listen, Disney is thrilled out of their minds with $85 million. About $56 million of that coming from Friday through Sunday to easily win the weekend. The first Wreck-It Ralph movie did $189 million, so they're already at 85. That is big. That is big for this franchise. This is a much better movie than the original. A lot of people have given me a hard time over the last 6 years for saying that I was not a fan of the first Wreck-It Ralph movie. I thought it was mean-spirited, flat, just didn't work, overstuffed with overly cute and clever cameos and references. But this new movie, Ralph Breaks the Internet, is a complete 180 because it's got a legit story with emotion and arc, relatable characters, everything you can care about with these two, with Ralph and Vanellope. It's fantastic. It is one of the best animated movies of the year in another strong year for animation. I love Ralph Breaks the Internet. The older you are, the more you're going to appreciate this movie. This really isn't designed for kids, like Zootopia, which Rich Moore, the co-director, also did a couple years ago and won an Oscar for that. This is an animated film. You know, it's disguised in animated form. It's an adult, mature, sophisticated storyline with some humor sprinkled in, like the princess scene, which is really well written. It's not overdone with these references this time, and that's what I appreciated. So if you haven't seen Ralph Breaks the Internet yet, go, because it is really good, and my take, it is completely 100% better than the first Wreck-It Ralph. Congratulations for Disney for taking a risk by doing a sequel 6 years later to a movie that may not have needed it until we realize that now, and for $85 million at the 5-day Thanksgiving box office. That is fantastic. But another knockout for Creed 2. $35 million Friday through Sunday. What is it, $55 million? Yeah, $55 million for the 5-day weekend. That is more than half of what the first Creed did in its entire run. The first Creed did $109 million, so it's halfway there right now already. That is huge for MGM and Warner Brothers. The thing about this movie is, the first Creed came out 3 years ago. Warner Brothers did a lot of the marketing, did much of the marketing, but MGM, which has always been behind the Rocky franchise, was behind it, kind of co-partnered with Warner Brothers. This time it was in reverse. MGM did the major marketing because they're trying to reestablish themselves as a huge studio, and Warner Brothers was kind of the co-partner on this. MGM is thrilled. Even though it didn't win the weekend against Ralph, that would have been a bit of a surprise. Still, $35 million 3-day, $55 million 5-day, already halfway to what the first Creed did. That's very good. The problem is this film just isn't very good. I love the first Creed. Stallone was amazing. The story worked. The performances were great. This feels like a copycat and a way lesser version. And yeah, a lot of scenes over and over again, basically, of what they did last time around. It's not deep, it's not unique, it's not original in any sense of the manner. So it is really too bad. Not a fan of Creed 2. Did you guys see Ralph or Creed will slide get another Oscar nomination? No, that is not going to happen. Unfortunately, Sylvester Stallone is not going to get another Oscar nomination. He has a couple moments. He tries his best. But the material that he actually co-wrote this time, because there's no Ryan Coogler in the picture, the material just isn't very good. So yeah, Sly is not getting another Oscar nomination, which is too bad. He should have won last time. I liked Mark Rylance and Bridge of Spies, but Sly should have won. It was quite a moment when he did win at the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards for his work in the first Creed. So yeah, that's my take on Creed 2. Rest of the box office, Grinch beats Fantastic Beasts. Grinch goes from 2 to 3. Fantastic Beasts goes from 1 to 4. Huge 52% drop for Fantastic Beasts because everybody who wanted to see it went week 1. And this franchise is already losing huge steam and huge momentum, unlike Wreck-It Ralph. Fantastic Beasts down to 4th. Bohemian Rhapsody in 5th. Instant Family with Mark Wahlberg didn't have a huge drop in 6th place. Man, we got to talk about the Thanksgiving bomb that is Robin Hood. I knew this movie was going to tank months ago because I've been seeing the trailer, the same trailer, over and over and over again for the last, I'm going to say 7 months. I'm not even kidding. And I knew coming out Thanksgiving weekend, going up against these other 2 movies, and just the fact it's another Robin Hood movie, just 8 years after the Russell Crowe one, which I didn't think was very good, this movie was gonna tank, and it did. $9.1 million Friday through Sunday, just $14 million over the 5-day. That is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. But again, not surprising in my opinion that Robin Hood did not do very well. Widows in 8th. Green Book, Mahershala Ali, Viggo Mortensen, jumped up to 9th with $5.4 million in its wide release expansion. And in 10th, A Star is Born in its 8th week, still in the top 10. Excuse me, a movie not really doing a whole lot is The Frontrunner. Hugh Jackman was on the Today Show this morning, Sunday Sit Down with Willie Geist, trying to promote this movie, trying to get it out there. But its wide release expansion, it bombed. $630,000 per screen average of $800. That is terrible. Nobody's going to see this movie for a couple reasons. Number 1, it's not great. Number 2, Hugh Jackman's performance doesn't even make it worth seeing. And number 3, I think the poster they're using for him is terrible. If you look at that poster, I actually think the digital placement of his face on the poster is off and wrong. If you take a look at that, the first poster they had with the bus jumping over the cliff, great poster. One of my favorite posters of the year. But the one they're using of him, with all the media surrounding him and all the quotes of people who liked the movie, is terrible. It's one of my least favorite posters of the year because it is not a flattering image of Hugh Jackman, even as Gary Hart. And as we all know, in the world of politics, you have to look pretty good in order to get some votes. John F. Kennedy and all that. So yeah, it is not a good poster and not a good box office for The Frontrunner. I don't think Hugh's going to get in the nominations. Unless for some reason critics latch on to him, or some of the voters, maybe the Hollywood Foreign Press, he's Australian, maybe they latch on, but because of this low box office, the mixed reviews, I think Hugh's going to get snubbed this award season. This box office is not helping. Yes, a couple people wrote there's a new Robin Hood movie I didn't even notice. Yeah, Robin Hood came out, and they actually did Monday night early screenings last week for Robin Hood, which made about $1 million, but yeah, that did nothing. Film that is doing far from nothing is The Favorite. Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz, Olivia Colman. Opened up in 4 theaters on Friday, 2 in LA, 2 in New York, making $420,000, a $105,000 per screen average. One of the biggest of the year, maybe the biggest of the year, one of the, without question. That is huge for this movie, huge for Fox Searchlight. That's a win for them this Thanksgiving weekend. I saw The Favorite yesterday in New York. I was in one of those theaters. I actually went to a 4 o'clock showing of the movie. And it was packed. Absolutely packed. I don't think there was an empty seat. I don't think there was an empty seat in the entire place. So this movie is kind of weird. And I was expecting that because the director did The Lobster from a few years ago, which was weird, and The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I didn't see, but a lot of people thought was weird as well. Yeah, I'm going to be putting up my review later today of The Favorite. Still got to get some thoughts together, but I will say this. It is a trio of powerhouse women. Olivia Colman is the queen. She's being put up for the lead actress category. Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, who are contending for her affection in more ways than one, are being both being put up for Best Supporting Actress. But to be honest, they all kind of have equal screen time. I know the director talked about in interviews recently how difficult it was for him to choose which of the women would go lead and which supporting. Structurally, it makes sense because that's kind of the movie. You've got the queen, you've got the two other women, so you place it that way. But they all have equal screen time, and they all each get their moments. I'm actually give the edge to Emma Stone as having the most screen time in the movie because we're sort of, with her character, the most perspective of her character, more out of the three, I think. But, yeah, the performances are very good, but the dark humor may or may not be your taste. And so I'll get into that a little bit later with my full review of The Favorite up later today at lights-camera-jackson.com. Bob Hall saw The Frontrunner, very bad movie. I don't think it's a terrible movie, but the script is a mess because it doesn't go the way you think it should. It doesn't take the Gary Hart situation from the right perspective, from the right angle. That's the problem. Hugh does his absolute best. I think Vera Farmiga is great. If this movie was stronger, getting more attention, Vera Farmiga could be in the supporting actress conversation as the wife. She's the most sensible, reasonable person in the entire film. J.K. Simmons has a couple moments too. The script, there's a couple scenes in this movie that really work, but it just doesn't go after this topic like you think it should and like it deserves to be going after. So, yeah, that's my problem with The Frontrunner. So, yes, box office, huge for The Favorite, Wreck-It Ralph, Creed 2, not for Robin Hood or The Frontrunner. That's what's going on for Thanksgiving. We'll see if Green Book keeps expanding pretty well over the next couple weeks. Solid start, could grow, but the movie's having some political commentary issues right now as well. So, yesterday I was in New York City. I said I saw The Favorite. Also met up at a diner with Georgia Engel. If you're a fan of Everybody Loves Raymond and The Mary Tyler Moore Show, she's a 5-time Emmy-nominated actress. Saw her at a diner last night, said hi to her. She was very nice. Georgia Engel. Also in the open season movies, Mr. Weenie's owner. She's the voice of Mr. Weenie's owner. So yeah, she was very nice to meet. But I also saw a little movie called Mary Poppins Returns. Probably my first or second most anticipated movie of the entire year. I really can't talk much about it because Disney has sworn us not to give out full reviews, full opinions for a couple weeks. I can do social reaction later this week. I can do a little bit more, but the full review as of now cannot go up until December the 12th, 1 week before it opens. Disney is also telling us that we cannot give away semi-big plot elements. Plot elements that in a normal movie you could probably decipher and be okay with. They don't want us to get into them at all in our reviews. They're being very strict and very protective on Mary Poppins Returns, which is understandable considering the legacy of this franchise, if you want to call it a franchise, the legacy of this character and all that Mary Poppins has stood for. But I will say, as I wrote yesterday on Twitter, that the kite still flies high. Emily Blunt has never received an Academy Award nomination before. I hope it happens this time. It could have happened for Girl on the Train 2 years ago. She was up for the SAG Award and the BAFTA for Best Actress, and I thought maybe because the movie did okay at the box office, the momentum of it, maybe she could get in, but she couldn't get into that category this year. It is not going to be easy for her to get an Academy Award nomination for this performance, even considering all that she does with the role and the legacy of the character and taking it on and everything like that. It is not going to be easy because of the competition this year. Best Actress is more competitive than Best Actor this year, it's looking like. But I hope she gets in there. I will also say Meryl Streep, it's being talked about online. She is in one scene of Mary Poppins Returns. If you combine her scene in Mary Poppins with her scene in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, you get a heck of a performance. But just the standalone Mary Poppins scene, I don't believe is enough by any means to get her in the supporting actress conversation. It is not. If she gets a nomination from any of the major awards groups in supporting actress, it will be a huge surprise. It will be the Judi Dench Shakespeare in Love situation all over again. Meryl's great in the movie, but again, there are other supporting actress performances like Rachel Weisz, like Emma Stone, several others, Nicole Kidman and Boy Erased, that are in it a lot more and go a lot deeper with their characters. The intention of Meryl's character in this movie was so that Meryl could be in the film. It's a character. The character of Topsy was in the Mary Poppins books, and she gets a fun scene with everybody, and it's great. And to have Rob Marshall reunite with her from Into the Woods. So that's the intention. If you love the original Mary Poppins, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. And that's all I'm pretty much going to get into, or else Disney is going to come at me and come after me for maybe giving away too much. But I'm going to have more social reaction later this week. Review will be up. I feel like they're going to move up the embargo from December 12th for our reviews. I really do. Because people want to know whether this movie is good or not. It is going to be the biggest movie of the holiday season. It is going to make so much money. It is going to crush Aquaman. Aquaman has Julie Andrews, which was a crazy casting decision and definitely has a few more people interested. But Mary Poppins is going to crush Aquaman. It is going to crush Bumblebee, which is why Paramount's doing early Bumblebee screenings. Because it is going to make so much money and it's going to get a lot of awards nominations. The Hollywood Foreign Press loves musicals. So easily I could see that happening. And we'll see where Emily Blunt and the movie go with the rest of the award shows this season. So that is my early little take on Mary Poppins Returns. Saw it yesterday at the Directors Guild of America Theater in New York. Want to thank them very much for holding that screening so I can potentially vote for it for the Critics' Choice Awards. My deadline for the nominations for the Critics' Choice Awards is a week from Friday, December 7th. I have to have my ballot in. Still want to see a few more movies. I've been seeing so many movies this week. I saw Ben is Back with Julia Roberts, At Eternity's Gate with Willem Dafoe, Ruben Brandt's Collector, an animated movie, Stan and Ollie. I'm missing a couple, I know, but along with Creed and Wreck-It Ralph. But I've been seeing a lot of movies, and voting is right around the corner for awards season. So I'm on this Loud House podcast. I'll be putting up the link later today on my social media. The Loud Crowd, talking about the Really Loud Music episode that aired on Friday night, and talking with the two songwriters of the show, Michelle Lewis and Doug Rockwell, who put 15 songs into 22 minutes. That is hard to do, but they pulled it off. So I'm on that episode of the Loud Crowd Podcast. I'll put up the link. If you follow the Loud Crowd Podcast, please listen. I had a great time being on with the guys, and I thank them very much. Also, tomorrow I'm going to be interviewing Christina Steinberg. She's a producer on Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the highly anticipated Sony Animation Spider-Man movie that opens December 14th. So that LCJ Q&A podcast will be up later this week at lights-camera-jackson.com and all over social media, and on animationscoop.com as well. I want to clarify, this is a PG-rated, PG Spider-Man animated movie. There was a little confusion earlier this week. I got some information that it was PG-13. It is PG, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Sony's definitely going to bring in the families, but also the fanboy crowd to go see it when it opens on December 14th. Bob Hall says, Roma is my favorite film of the year. I liked Roma. I wanted to love Roma, but I couldn't get there because to me there isn't anything deep about it. I know it's from Alfonso Cuarón's heritage, from his childhood, but it doesn't go deep with the emotional level that I thought it might. The cinematography is gorgeous. The performances are very good, but I don't think Roma's not even going to get on my top 10 list. Some people have it as their favorite of the year. It's not going to even get on my top 10 list for the year. So, recapping. Wreck-It Ralph. Ralph Breaks the Internet with $85 million. Creed 2, $55 million. The Favorite did really well in limited. Had my little take on Mary Poppins. The Favorite review is coming up later today, and I'll be linking to the Loud Crowd podcast episode. I hope you all enjoy that because I had a great time being on there. Next Sunday, we're going to preview. Award season officially starts next week because next Monday is the Annie Awards nominations. I'll give my take on which animated movies are going to get nominated for Annie Awards, and preview the Golden Globe nominations next Sunday as well because they'll be out on December 6th. So we're here. It is award season, and I am your Award Season Central, giving you all the latest information, predictions, analysis, all that you need right here on LCJ Live. As always, if you are watching this on YouTube, subscribe and watch the latest video, and I will see you next Sunday at noon Eastern for another new episode of LCJ Live. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.